Basic Bananas. Uh, so
Yeah.
welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So myself, I have a business called Basic Bananas, and what we do is we help. It's mostly small to mid, and some larger, mostly small to mid-sized businesses grow their brands and get more customers. So we play mostly in the marketing space, where it's always driving leads, driving sales, and I actually secret from my background. I used to be a professional surfer many moons ago.
Wow.
I still surf all the time, but I competed for 7 years on the tour, and I think the competitive nature in me, I like working in areas where I can see like a win, like see results, and so working within marketing, and you see leads, you see numbers, you see triggers, yeah,
Results.
goals that we want to hit. There's a lot of areas in business that just roll on and on and on, and you can't really quantify an outcome as well. So it really excites me, and I like working with business people, that you see a smile on their face. So the real thing, I like to say, I'm in the business of transforming people's lives. It might sound a little cheesy, but it's as people's businesses grow, and usually those sort of size of businesses where they might have anywhere from 5 to 100 staff, kind of thing. It really has an impact on their lives and their team's life, and that. And so
They
that's
do.
that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Especially in the last 2 years, it was a good reason to
Oh
wake up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been interesting times, and we have found a lot that have adapted through it and just stayed hungry. Like, what can we do? What can we do? Rather than just sort of hiding and waiting what happens to see what happens. Those that just stayed hungry and looking for new ways to do things. A lot even in really heavily impacted industries have done very well. And now they're better positioned on the other side. As hopefully things come back to
Yeah. So
some
whoever
sort of
did the
normal.
marketing and didn't cut the expenses
Yeah, yeah.
came out on the other side much better,
Better
I
off.
guess,
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did adjust certain things. Like I always say in marketing, we're trying to like match the conversation inside the customer's head. It's like our marketing's trying to equal the conversation that's going on inside their head, and we had to change the conversation a bit. A lot of the customers' thoughts changed, and as long as you're adapting to stay with that to some extent, a lot of businesses have thrived,
Yeah.
even though they,
That's true.
could have been
That's true.
heavily impacted. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a presentation about digital marketing earlier,
Yes.
and especially email marketing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about how do you start doing email marketing in the first place?
Yes. So to get started with email marketing in the first place, well, first thing, you don't want to be doing it from some sort of manual email program. You need a database system. So there's tons of them out there, but you need an email database. And then a good way to start is usually you'll have customers that buy something. And so you get their details through that. You want to make sure you're collecting email addresses. And then the other method is giving away some sort of opt-in, like a lot of opt-ins are done very poorly, where it might be on a website and it says subscribe to our latest news or our latest offers or whatever, and it's too vague. Like, you'll get very few people putting their details in. Whereas an opt-in that's very specific, if it says something like download this 5-step checklist that will help you do this, help you get better sleep, or something
Yeah.
like where it's a specific thing. It's a step checklist, or it's a 4-part video series to get this, get instant access now. So it's the 10 tips to reduce your tax, but whatever, it's a really specific thing with a specific
Outcome.
benefit, yeah, outcome that we can get immediately, and we know we understand it. Because the visitors on a website, you're lucky on most websites if around 2% of your traffic that land on a website are actually moving towards a sale, like taking an action, whether it's clicking or inquiring or buying or something. So the other 98%, it's a huge number. We want to try and convert them to leads and ideally convert them to sales down the track. So the opt-in is a lower risk way to make that happen, to start nurturing the relationship. So just the absolute importance of having an opt-in, and you can have multiple. You don't have to have just one checklist. Like on my own Basic Bananas main website, just on the homepage alone, there's 3 different opt-ins because different things will appeal to different. One might be about social media tips for business. One might be about email marketing. One might, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
definitely getting those, just thinking of those like sort of pathways to lead people into into the database.
Okay, so
Yep.
once they are in,
Yes.
now
what?
What? Now what? Exactly.
So what you need to think about, okay, yeah, this is a really good question, because the first thing is, as soon as they're in, they're going to be judging the emails you send on that, based on those first one or two emails. They're going to form their impression of what you sent. So those
So the
first
first email is
critical. Like,
critical.
so you got to send the thing you promised, obviously. So if you've opted in for something and you send a promotion, or it doesn't come
Yes.
the thing
So
that they
that's the
wanted,
first thing. Okay,
then what?
there's gonna be the next one, which
Next
is
thing,
same, very important.
second email, short, sharp, valuable. So they feel they got some bonus. They see you send good stuff, not over promoting. If you're just trying to ring them out for every sale you can get, that you're going to get opt outs, or you're going to pick people who just won't open them. And then what will happen is you're going to have to come up with regular content. So then you're going to, this is like the pain
So once they are
of
out
marketing.
of the initial conversation,
Yeah,
okay,
now what?
Now what?
Now what? So we call this a nurture sequence. So you've got to nurture them, and really what you want to be thinking is something I shared in the presentation just now at the event here is you want to be treating every little lead like a long-term relationship. It's like you're planting seeds that you can reap the harvest in 10 years. So your goal is to become their trusted advisor, not someone that's just trying to sell, sell, sell.
Yeah.
Now, what we can do is coming up with different content. Idea, it could be like an article you put on your, it's on your website once every 2 weeks or once a month, and then you share a little preview via email. Usually in the emails themselves, keep in mind that when we're in our inbox, we're impatient. So it's almost like I want a reason to delete every email. I'm looking at the email going, please give me the reason to not have to read you really quickly so I can delete all 20 there and I can get on with my day. Whereas if one's like, ooh, what's that? It's intriguing. I better keep it. I'll come back to it later. I'm doing my initial blitz. I'm deleting.
Yeah. So how do you make them intriguing?
Yeah, so
We're
intriguing.
coming to
Good
that.
point. There's going to be one thing to get them. Let's start with opening them. So opening them, there's the subject line, and then there's the first line of your content. It's two cracks at a headline because people see the first line as a preview in their inbox.
Yes.
And then you're going to have to come
So
up with
that's the subject.
that's the subject. So you got basically a little side tip on that. Something I just shared actually in the presentation is the first subject, the subject line, the actual subject line, and the first line of the content are visible, and that's what we screen the emails based on, whether we're going to read them or not. So those are important lines. Also, the use of emojis is good to get people just engage with it. When you reference time, we've found that referencing time in subject lines, like this thing's happening tomorrow, this thing's next week, here's the latest tips for 2022, just tends to
Clock
get the best
emojis.
opens.
The clock emojis
You
are
love
coming
emojis.
into place.
And then the actual juicy content you're going to share. One thing we call it this content idea generator, where it's basically you just rule a margin on a page, and on the left-hand side within the margin, you write all the different writing style, like delivery styles, like whether it's a Q&A, whether it's a steps to, whether it's a top mistakes, or it's a how-to. And then what you can do is, a top mistakes or whatever, you basically come up with the idea for the content. So you might say, look, my idea is mental health or something. This is the topic. And today we're going to do a how-to, or we're going to do the latest news, or we're going to do an interview with someone. So you come up with a few different topics, and then just in the actual delivery method, you can create completely unique content. Yeah. Obviously, with anything you're creating, you want to be keeping in mind who's the target market, who's the ideal customer, because the most important thing is it's relevant to them, it's intriguing to them. But with that kind of content idea generator approach, you can come up with a lot of juicy, good content. And also, what tends to happen is your marketing team, or if it's a small business, the person doing it themselves, they'll usually default to their preferred delivery. Like I like to do how-tos because all day long I'm asked how to do this, how to do, and I train and we mentor people in their marketing. So I'm always creating how-tos. So if I have to create a marketing a bit of content, it's always like, here's a blog on how to, get whatever. And here's a blog on how to this, how to this. But it gets boring for a reader to read how-tos
All the time.
all the time. Yeah, even no matter how good they are, you're not going to read how-tos or watch a how-to videos if I'm sending, to a month or whatever forever. So by then going, well, no, let's do an interview style where I interview a customer about how they did X, Y, Z today, or we'll do a top mistakes when it
So
comes
you need to
to.
alternate different different
delivery kind of method or whatever we want to call that. Yeah.
And this will come to how often do you do this?
Ah, yes. How often do you send an email? Also, the time of the day tends to be a good question that comes up too. The the frequency, it really does depend on what you sell. If you're a bargain website, you can promote daily. If you're an architectural company that builds dream homes, people aren't doing that daily. Well, depending on your target market, of course. If you're Pablo Escobar's your target market, maybe you are, but usually maybe not. So you might then be doing, monthly or even bi-monthly. Like usually, I think a bit of a common mistake is people. There's a lot of email advice out there to email, 3 times a week and things like that, which I think is garbage. It's just do less. If you feel like you haven't got something decent to send, don't send it. Like it because you don't want people opting out. That's a lead that could convert to tens of thousands of sales in 6 months' time. So you don't want to cook them. So um, us ourselves, we're a marketing business and we're doing monthly at the moment. Unless there's some special event or some special promotion, it's actually just a monthly email. And we treat it like an index. So the actual email itself has short content because remembering people are impatient when they're in the inbox.
You mean like a digest?
Yeah, it's like here's what we published on the podcast, here's what we published on the website, here's our video tips, a tiny little summary so people can skim over and go, yeah, like that, don't like that. They're not stuck there reading a long email
So
in the
that's
inbox.
more like a newsletter.
Yeah, exactly, like a newsletter little summary kind of index approach. Yeah, that was a really long answer, wasn't it? And
That was good.
yeah.
And well, how do you come with fresh and consistent content all the time?
Yeah, that one, the fresh and consistent content, a good source is listen to customers because whoever's in customer service in your business, if one person asks a question, there's usually probably 10,000 others out there that have the same question. So that's a really good source. Um, of content ideas. And then, really, the main thing I'd say is using that different delivery method so it always appears as fresh.
The search bar in your website?
Oh, yes, search bar in your website, see where people are going, what they're clicking through to, what they're looking at. Can be a good way, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, there's different things where sometimes there'll be things that are trending, and really that's just keeping listening to your audience and communicating with your customers. Always a good idea in itself. There's one little strategy we use when it comes to things like, say, if it's social media, we call these content buckets. And this is the approach. So it could be even a very large business, any business we want work with. We help them define their content buckets. So a content bucket might be, let's say they're like a financial advisory business. One might be financial advice tips. One might be behind the scenes. One might be historical financial mistakes. One might be so. Then when they're posting different content, they can actually keep it in. So today they might go, oh, let's do one on tips. Now let's do a post on behind the scenes. Let's do Craig, our team members, hobbies on the weekend, because it's to keep things interesting.
When do you define those buckets?
With the team, where do we? Yeah, like really working it out with the team internally.
At the beginning,
and it depends. Very beginning. Yeah.
Beginning.
Yeah, and it also depends on your brand sort of personality, because sometimes you might do inspirational quotes, sometimes you might do like some quirky things.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine a pizza shop doing social media. If they've got 12 pizzas, they can't post the same pizzas. It's not engaging. But if they suddenly have a content bucket that's like behind the scenes with the team, and other interests, then there could be some sort of like the history of pizza and strangest ingredients we've ever seen, just to mix it up.
Yeah,
It could even be like Italian holiday destinations that they post about, just because it shows an interest in, the origins of pizza. Yeah, and it's not just going to be as boring for the audience.
So let's say that you started to build your database.
Yes.
And sometimes on the way you just forgot about them.
Yeah.
Life came
Okay.
into place, and it's a year since you haven't touched base with them.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
How do you reactivate them?
Yeah, wake them up.
Yeah. So if you've got a database, or sometimes people acquire a database, or they might acquire a new business that hasn't been looking after the database, to reactivate them, to wake them up, a couple of things to do. what we'd usually do is a quick short campaign, like a sequence of things which are just really short, sharp, and valuable. Sometimes it's like a mini course is a good way to think of it. It's like, here's a mini course on, how to toilet train your dog. Something, like
Yeah.
something about, if that was your audience,
Yes.
here's a mini course on,
Yeah. Make a pizza at home.
yeah, make a pizza at home. Like, exactly. Here's a little mini XYZ, pizza with the kids, whatever. Like, it's just something, depends on who your market is, obviously, but something that's a value to them. Um, and keep it really short. And it might be a mini courses in it's 5 2-minute videos,
Hmm.
just little tips. Um, because what we're doing is just getting to get them re-engaging and looking at the content again. Sometimes a really good promotion can wake up a database as well. But usually, what I'd aim to do is try and wake them up with value, try and show them, hey, we're sending good stuff. And by
And
doing that,
then,
little jolt them, yeah, like, here's some good, juicy content to get you re engaging with our content is a good way to go. It can be, there's who knows how long we'll be able to really trust our open rates and things like that. So it's a good idea, if you're right now listening to this, to review your past open rates, your past subject lines, and things like that, to see what people are engaging with as well. Because there's a lot of updates with privacy and so on, where it's just becoming less
and about the
accurate.
privacy, what about the new Apple updates and
Yeah, Apple's
yeah, the latest?
got updates coming out. The quickest way to summarize the two that really we're kind of keeping an eye on, and that a lot of people are talking about, yeah, there's a basically what Apple's there's on your phone, there's an option to select. I think realistically, for a lot of businesses, it might be somewhere between sort of 30% to 50%, depending on your database and what devices they're using. So it's not going to impact usually the whole audience, unless you are, of course, a Mac shop. Then your audience is probably all Mac users. They're going to cut their own, shoot themselves in the foot, aren't they? Their audience, the one on Mac devices. But anyway, on Apple. But the privacy setting, what it'll do is it's like, imagine like Apple will actually open your email. So what you'll see in your database is maybe you've got close to 100% open rate, or a very high open rate, but then that email gets forwarded onto your inbox, and whether you actually open it or not won't won't translate back to the database. And so then that's going to become less accurate, and also a lot of triggers that people have set up, which a lot of us have done. We've already actioned a lot of this in our database system, triggers based on opens. So if we do a promotion where we say, here's an email with 5 different things that people might be interested in, people clicked on one promotion, we'll tag them to say that person's interested in this topic. Now I'll send them
So
this.
you're gonna send them
Yeah,
into
promote them
different.
this, or give them this, or move them
Yeah.
to that segment. And suddenly that's not going to be accurate anymore, because if every email looks like it's been opened, it's going to fire off. So we need to set up different triggers. So we're setting up triggers based on purchases, based on website page visits, and things that we can track more on basically like on our real estate. Um, yeah, versus the open rates. And the other one is you can set up this one. I think this one's been hyped more than really the reality, but it's with the Apple addresses, the me addresses, you can set up burner emails, which is basically, maybe others will follow suit and do the same, but I don't think people would really bother too much. We'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. What it means is, if you've got, say, if I had Christo@me.com as my main Apple email, I can set up Christo123 at me as a burner email. I can subscribe to things with that email.
Mhm.
That email address forwards it onto my inbox at Christo@me, and then I can go away and delete the Christo123. So the subscription actually doesn't work. So I'm not going to continue to receive those emails. So they're kind of making that functionality a bit easier.
Yeah, well,
But
I think many people are doing this nowadays.
you can do it anyway. You can go and set
Yeah,
up a Gmail or whatever, and
yeah, only
in a
to
matter of
receive the
minutes.
subscriptions.
Yeah,
So you
which you
don't
can.
overcrowd your
Yeah, give out
personal
your
email
main
address.
one.
Yes,
Yeah, and
your main.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess they're just making it easier, so you not have to log in separately through a different. It'll just forward on to you. Yeah. But I would say with that one, the main thing is, just don't underestimate the power of email. Like, email, it's your future. Like, every little lead in there, every little opt in is next year's sales. Like that's what it is. It's like
That
it's
important.
$100,000 next in 6 months time. It's $1 million next year. It's in 5 years time. We have customers all the time come to us and say, I've followed Basic Bananas for 10 years. And I'm like, that is brilliant. Sometimes team are like, I can't believe how like ridiculously slow this person's been to act. I'm like, no, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It
so you
shows that we've
nurture them.
engaged them for that long that we're still seeing a return from whatever marketing activity we did 10 years ago that got them in the database, and now we actually made some money from it.
Converted
Yeah,
them
yeah.
into customers.
But you get, as long as you're getting
Yeah.
those trickling through, you have someone that's followed you for 6 months, 4 months, 10 months, 10 years, it all adds up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Christo, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're
And
very welcome. Question
questions?
from the audience. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Come closer.
Come on up. I can repeat the question anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was wondering is, in terms of email platforms,
Yep.
like there's Mailchimp, Constant
Yeah.
Contact. There's a ton of.
This is a hot topic.
Active
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah.
Is there a particular preference you have, and if yes,
Yeah.
why, or are they all pretty much the same?
Yeah.
And also in terms of open rates, I'm also talking
Yeah,
ease
with
of
the different
use,
reputation of the database.
all
Yeah.
of those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very good question. So if anyone listening couldn't hear, it's like which database platform to use with the abundance out there of like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Active Campaign, Infusion software, things
MailerLite.
change to keep, yeah, Entreport, and do certain ones have better open rates and things. The open rates I can't necessarily speak for, but I hear a lot of, where the information comes from, I'm not sure, but you hear of a lot of the lower cost providers or even the free can tend to have worse reputation because obviously people can get on, they can set up an account, they can blast it, and they can buy an email list, blast, and then cancel it. It doesn't cost them anything. So they're less, they're less committed. But
So go with premium.
go with premium and go with something you can grow with, because also too, a lot of the free platforms like the platform we use is Entreport. That's our preference. Now, I wouldn't say everyone has to jump on it. If you're on something and you like it, it does what you want it to do, you're probably on the right thing. If something's serving you, good. If it's restricting you or you want to do other things, then time to look elsewhere. But like, just say if it was like MailChimp free versus say Entreport, which isn't free, it starts at I think $79 a month. We pay much more because we have users and big account and things, but the functionality, if you do upgrade with a lower cost platform, you'll end up paying just as much to add extra features as you would just starting, with one say like Entreport where you're paying $80 a month anyway. Entreport. Now, of course, we're a referral partner of theirs. We get a commission when people click a link that we share, and people get all these bonuses and stuff. But the reality is, I recommend it anyway. The reason for Entreport, I like it for sort of the mid-sized to small and mid-sized businesses. There are obviously large corporates that use it as well, but they win a lot of customer service awards, and anyone with a database system, when something goes wrong, if you've deleted accidentally, your hottest lead list, or when they're good, they're helpful. The CEO and founder, Landon Ray, who started it, we've been using since about 2009. We've referred them so many people that have become a good friend, and so I know his intentions. They're very supportive. Like, he's in their user Facebook group every day answering questions. You just don't get that from a CEO of a company that size. That you usually another number in the a lot have a great customer service, but the reason them is we know their intentions. We know that they service that market really well, the sort of small to mid, and any platform will always come up with updates. It's like Active Campaign come up with an update, and everyone's like, anyone who has to blog about this stuff, it's like, here's what they've done. This is brilliant. But then Infusion, or they come up with something. Constant Contact, they keep it's like a living creature, a database. I'd hate to own one because of all the constant updates, but those are always at that edge of, they're always doing the updates and always pushing things, and really, their support. I see him tag in their chief technical officer on the Facebook group, going, "Hey, can we fix this person's glitch?"
Wow.
It's pretty phenomenal to see that level of support, and that's really why we use them. Of course, being a marketer, if you just want to check them out, let us know, because we'll send our referral link, and we'll intro you to their team as well.
And how do you compare? Like that was compared to the free version of say.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you compare them to
Oh,
premium
premium,
version
they're
of-
up there. Yeah. They're right up
otherwise
there.
all of them. Are
All of
pretty
them,
much-
no. Well, I'd say if you're looking across who's kind of best, it'd be that kind of infusion, active campaigner, good, user friendly, and Entreport. They're my preferences. But there's so much. Say like Entreport can do a lot. If you were to use it, don't try and learn the program because it does so much. It's like we've used it for more than 10 years and we probably use 40% of what it can do. You can spend your whole life, but just start with what you want it to do, like the email blasts and the opt-in sequences and things. Um, and they're very helpful. They walk people through it. But that's like they're my kind of top three I'll go with. Obviously, depending on if that's for like sort of mid-sized. As soon as you're using the platform, you see value. Yeah,
Nice.
good question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we'll see
Anyone
you
from the audience has questions?
Yeah,
soon. Yeah.
awesome.
Email marketing.
Thank you.
The topic is email marketing.
Great.
Do you want to keep
Do you
it?
want to just step in?
Yes.
Oh, then if you have time.
If you have time.
Yeah. No.
Oh, it probably doesn't relate to what was just being said because I wasn't sitting here then. But I was on the hunt for you to ask you a question about what you had said earlier. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
In regards to links within emails.
Yes.
And we have a product-based business. So some emails after I heard you, I thought, whatever emails.
You've got hundreds of links. Yeah.
Because we might have a new range of shoes that we then showcase.
Gotcha.
A lot of shoes, but
Yeah.
might be say 8 items, but each of those
Yeah.
is a link.
Yeah.
So should we be focusing maybe more on a brand and then just linking to that brand page?
Yeah. It's a good question. I'll repeat it for the recording.
please.
The question is something I shared in the presentation here at the event was not to have too many links in emails, external links from one email, because the spam filters will pick it up and look at it and go, wait a sec, there's 10 different links going all over the place. This is clearly a promotional email. So what do you do if you've got a product business where you might have a new line of shoes and there's 10 varieties, 10 colors, whatever, and you're going to end up with 8 links in one email. You kind of got to write yourself. I aim to reduce it by maybe you could go to product range or brand page, and then on the page have here's the best sellers. If you could reduce it that way, so as if like there might be 2 or 3 new product ranges with 10 different shoes in each, but could you reduce the email to have 3 links, which just have his product range, A, his product range B, and send people through to those to reduce those links down. To push it a little bit, I just always think too, what's the best seller? I know this can be hard with a new product range because you're like, well, there's 5, or best sellers, but always, is there like the clearest pathway from the email to the purchase? Like, what's the most common sale we're likely to make with this new product range? The best seller, maybe you'd feature that one.
Yeah.
And then you go, and here's the rest of the product range, another link to then have
Yeah.
those,
Is it an idea to maybe swap it and throw it in the customer's hands and say, would you like, in a question of saying, would you like shoes, or do you like dress shoes, good shoes, or I don't know what your products are, in the middle of the email. So if you like this, click here. It takes you down another road of the email. I don't know if that's to throw it in the hands of the customer to take the navigation of the fork in the road and say, would you like to see about this shoe?
just for the actual email content itself, is just trying not to have the too many links. So that's really the goal. It's like, if you're going to have, like, you're going to struggle to get probably less than 3, 4 or whatever, but that'd be a bit of a goal if you're adding.
Well, after you said it, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Probably had 10, 12 links.
There'll be some probably got more, like it's like this product, and here's blue, green, red version, and this, and it is like it's a tricky thing, because like if you were doing a Facebook post about a specific product, I'd say send them exactly to that product page, so there's less links. It's always like we're trying to, less clicks, like to have to, it's almost like each click you're going to get a bit of drop off, and whereas then in the email if we say you got 10 links and it sends them directly to the product page, well, that's good because there's less, they don't arrive on like the brand page and then have to click the specific shoe. But you'll just, for the sake of email, be a little impacted by having too many links. So in that instance, it is a little different to our other marketing where we might have, his product range. But that's why I'd say if there's a bestseller or something, you might single those out. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool. It's a good question. Good luck with the shoes. Sell those shoes.
Now, let me ask you, because I am a marketer in the sense that I have been more physical mentality as well. Now that we're all digital and I've used it for years, colors, and I have used in the past colors, like if I'm in an email, I would say, join us maybe in green, and then finance fest in
Yeah.
green,
Yeah.
and then date in green. So
Yeah.
when you pull back at your desk, I like colors because most people do use the standard emails.
Yeah.
So in the idea of my marketing, I say it's a break from your typical day. So
Yeah.
if you're reading through all these black and white emails and the regular content, then you
Yeah.
pull back and you just see color, just not
Yeah.
just the video, but the actual content.
Yeah,
And then they
bright
can pull
different
back and they
colours.
can see the different highlights popping out at them.
Yeah.
And they can just, if they're a busy person and I want them to come to the Invest Fest, they just pull back, join us, date,
Yeah.
Invest Fest,
So-
date.
Good
one
question.
date,
So
and
the-
then I
the-
pull
So the
back,
question
and then
is,
I have things to show.
Question is too many colors. How much color should we use in an email? Because you like to have a lot of different colors to capture their eye. First thing, it should always be on brand. I'm very strong on branding, and a brand's perception will be impacted by the use of colors and fonts. So if I'm sending an email, my brand colors are black, white, and yellow, and it'll have to be a slight we have some like second tier colors we'll use, but I wouldn't overdo it now, because if you've got too many colors, it can end up like a bit of a patchwork looking. Obviously, you might highlight a link or a call to action if you really want to grab someone's, like if there's a red click here or something like that. However, even still, the quality and perception of a brand, like on that, is sort of like different topic, the whole branding perception. We're always, in a conceptual way, trying to position a brand above the market they actually sell to. So it has to look world class. So it's like you mentioned shoes, in shoes, you want people to pay, how much do you sell them for? Can I just say $800 a pair of shoes?
Oh, they're nowhere near that.
They're nowhere near that.
Say 250.
Okay, $250. So if you want to sell shoes for $250, you want your brand to look like a $2,000 shoe, average shoe sale store. So when people look at it, they go, wow, I'm getting this value quality for $250. This is where the brand sits. I'm a part of the $2,000 shoe club for $250. I'm singing your praises. It's always just, and the part of the visuals, like that's like, so I'm not a big fan of like color. Like obviously if it's bright on brand colors or your branding is color, like, and that's how it kind of works. Then yeah, why not? But just like that, we're very strict with myself and my team with the use of colors and fonts.
Have you played with like I have two different emails and I've sort of looked at trying to see how the response comes. I have the white background with a couple of colors, and then
Yeah.
I have a black background.
Yeah.
Is the darker background easier on the eyes?
Oh,
So
yeah.
here it comes to A/B testing.
Yeah.
So you can do
yeah.
A/B testing via emails.
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So the question, if you use a black background versus white. Yeah.
You got the colors with the black background.
Well, the reality is too, in people's emails and their platforms now, you can have dark mode, which makes it a black background with white font. Some like it, some don't. So this one is a tricky one. You could A/B test, as you mentioned, where you send two versions, one with a black background, one with a white background. Like if it's, I don't, that would really depend on your audience and testing it with an A/B test. I think some like it and some don't. I don't mind it on my phone and things personally, but a black inbox on my computer, I don't like it. Like a black, sort of background email, but just on it, like making sure it's got contrast, a real clear contrast. If the visibility is poor, I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently here's a marketing stat for you. If the background, if the contrast isn't dark, like basically putting any text on a colored background reduces the readability
Accessibility.
to about 40%.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's of what it would have been. So just keeping that, the contrast is really the most probably important part of that.
And that's very true because if you think about it, you look at any websites, all the websites in the world. How
Yeah,
many times do you see dark colored websites? It's generally light.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
white is generally
Yeah.
how it is
yeah,
because of that visibility factor.
yeah.
It's very hard to read
Yeah.
fonts on a dark
Yeah, if you look at
It's
someone
not
like
easy to
Amazon,
pop out. I guess when I had thought with the like with that, it just pops out. The words pop out.
yeah, it's just a
But
contrast.
That's a very big size as well. Right? So
Yeah,
there's a big
yeah.
difference.
And
Yeah.
small business, there's only
Yeah, exactly.
content within that, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Really have
yeah.
a dark
Guys, we
background.
have to wrap it up now.
Better wrap the
Yes,
recording,
and,
cool.
thank you so much.
Awesome,
And,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.